Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, evolutionaryhealer.com, and I have with me the most amazing person, Wanda Grein. Welcome, Wanda.
Well, hi, Linda. Hi, everybody. How are you today?
You look awesome, my dear.
Thank you. I've got my very special Bollywood garb on. That's one of my favorite clothings I like to wear.
I love it. That's so awesome. Well, Wanda has an incredible story of transformation, so I'll let you go ahead and share that with everyone, Wanda.
Oh, look, I must have been in about my 40s. At the time, I had a relationship breakup. I was a single mother, working hard, trying to change my job prospects. And I realized that at every moment, I was blaming others, blaming life, blaming my parents, blaming this circumstance, until I realized I had to stop that. It was a pivotal moment in my life because I understood at that moment, I've got to change this circumstance. I've got to change my environment. So I went off to Mexico. In 24 hours, I was gone.
Wow.
On the airplane, I'm going, what am I doing? But it was the best thing I ever did, because from there, things fell into place. And I know it sounds silly and probably a bit like a fairy tale, but seriously, I stepped back from my life and embraced whatever came. I allowed the universe, whatever you want to call it, to step in and show me. And it did.
Wow. Wonderful. I love it. And we're going to be talking about all roads lead to Cairo, no need to judge. Wow, that's a heavy duty title. Tell us a little bit about your title.
Well, as a teacher, I suppose I used to challenge my students and saying there's not just one way to learn. There are several ways. We are learners and we think in different ways. And so therefore, when there was a mathematics problem, I would get all the children up who figured out the problem, and I would always lead with boys and girls. There's roads lead to Cairo.
Right.
And all those roads are, for me, those different ways in which we think and the different ways in which we solve problems. And that is fine because we get the same outcome. And there's no need to judge someone else is better than me, or they get there faster or they get there slower. At the end, whether you're the turtle or the hare, you get there anyway. And so then it brings about your own individual journey and appreciating that and knowing that you will get there anyway. What stops a lot of people is the competition idea, that we have to be there first, that we have to be there fast. And that's not true at all. And so therefore, in my work or in my joy that I do with other people, I often share it doesn't matter. Stop looking at what other people are doing, because when you do that, you're judging. And in the big time, you actually are judging yourself. And that is the biggest stop, I think, for most people trying to get ahead.
Yeah, biggest life lesson. So, yeah. All right. And you're an art teacher, and you actually even can work with, emotions. And are you an art therapist, or how does that label work for you?
I'm an art teacher, yes, and an art therapist, and I discovered a long time ago that when people start to they come to me for an art lesson, and I understood that that was only the conscious reasoning. And people come to art thinking they want to learn skill, but actually what they're wanting to do is create something from within or tap into that beautiful soul energy of themselves. And so I find that when people are faced with a blank canvas, all their stops in their life are staring them in the face. And so therefore, in that view, it's a very good healer. And me being the empathic person that I am, I understand that. And so it helps me guide them to the next level, where their blocks are. Is this what you do in your life? Is this what you do? Do you give up? That kind of thing. And so,
Nice.
yeah.
I love it. Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about creative freedom. I think you were just about to go into that.
Yeah, I love the idea of creative freedom, and that's what I teach. Um, and when I say to people, listen, I would really love you to explore what's within. Um, Sometimes people need a structure to work with before they can even step into their creative freedom, because some of us have forgotten what that is. Children do it a lot faster, but I embrace that, and even though I teach structure as a guide to get them there, once they get it, once they tap into that and go, I'm going to try this, then a whole lot of healing comes in that too, because comes an inner confidence that they
Mm.
had forgotten that they had. And it's, that soul energy. They're no longer working with the conscious mind. They're working more with their feeling. They're tapping into their emotions. Sometimes we have understandings that our emotions can lead us the wrong way. That we can. There's a difference between our inner feelings and our judgmental feelings. On top of that, what we make it mean.
Ooh, I like that. That's really cool. Huh, very neat. All right, so experience your passion. I know that you got to a point where you weren't doing that and you just sort of like
Yeah.
canceled everything and went into a cocoon.
Yes, and that stems from a time in my memory when I was a little girl and being brought up Catholic. Um, I was talking in church, and I was only about 7 years old with a friend of mine, and we got hauled over the coals, working with the nuns at the time, and I'm sure everyone's got a horror story about that. But
Aw.
we were led to kneel down in front of the Our Lady statue and explain, why we were talking in church. And I was only 7. I thought, oh my God, what's going on here? And we were wrapped over the knuckles, wrapped over the knees. I had scars to prove it. I was in shock. And the worst part about it was my little girlfriend. I was trying not to cry. I think I was more in shock that I couldn't cry. And she was just a mess. And I was forced to stand and watch her be hit and abused in front of the whole class and humiliated. And for me, that was a huge emotional block. And I hadn't realised how that had actually impacted the way in which I lived my life. So when it comes to being responsible or stepping into the light, that fear of public humiliation,
Mm.
I preferred to stay back. Even though I
Yep.
had all these great ideas and these thoughts, it held me back in a very big way. Uh, there was so much more I could have done in hindsight had I not had that fear, or had I not realised that that was holding me back.
Yeah, and you have a physical location in Kiama, is that how you say it? Australia.
Yes.
And then, branching out into the online space, all that old stuff came up and triggered you a bit. So it's exciting to see you push through all of that. And really a lot of stuff for you has been that kind of bottom line of learn to love yourself. You hadn't really even forgiven yourself for all that happened to your friend and all that stuff that seems so tiny, but to a child is just
Yes.
it's insurmountable, and it doesn't seem tiny to adult either to hear that story of yours. Wow. Okay, anything else you want to say on learn to love yourself?
Uh, look, I think that is gold. Learning to love yourself, and in so many ways, I work with women who think they love themselves, but they don't give themselves enough time. They think that they have to be this God-forsaken martyr in their family, and not
Yeah.
have that time for themselves. And I can see a trend happening where a lot of women at any age level are actually saying it's time for me now, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not loving their families or they're abandoning their families. It's just taking that time out to re-energize, to find who they are, um,
Mhm.
and to, I suppose, in one way, escape the context of who we are as women in this society. The power of sisterhood is not whinging and complaining about what you don't have. It's about what is possible for you in this next level, no matter where you are.
Right. And in the olden days, in the villages or whatever, the women would get up at the crack of dawn before the rest of the family, and they would walk to church, and they would chit chat together, and they would sit together in church, even though they didn't talk, and and they got their me time all the way around. They got their me time in church, and they got their sisterhood on the way there and on the way back. And that was how they wove it into their day. And if we think we're busy, I mean, they washed their clothes by hand. They you know, it was a killer kind of a life. A lot of them died just in childbirth. But they made sure that they got their me time and their sisterhood time in. And I just think that's so beautiful, going back to some of those more original Indigenous paradigms. So, and then forgive yourself and others. We touched on that a little bit. Is there anything else you'd like to share on that one?
Well, like going back to my story of the nuns, you know, there was a sense of me that felt like I was responsible for a lot of people, the people I didn't even know, and I just carried through in my life. You know, I remember my father saying to me at times, you know, why do you have this idea that you've got to rescue everybody? And it was a trigger response that I felt, and now that I don't respond that much, I use it in a different way. So forgiving myself for not being there, which was completely out of my control at the time. I think we forget to do that. We forget to forgive. It doesn't mean you forget it. It just means that you go, well, look, you could have done. You do your best at the time that you've got, and
Right.
you make decisions based on, particularly when you know what you're doing. And so therefore sometimes, and who's to say that any right decision is right? I mean, what does right mean? It just means you're doing the best for the other person, and you have to be then really conscious of your authentic self. You're really true to yourself when you have to make a decision, and in forgiveness, forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean allowing, or the fact that you've got to accept the other person. The mean is that you forgive yourself for what you did or didn't have, and you move forward with that. And in itself, we sort of live in a world where we need to have, now, is this the right decision? Because if I make a mistake, oh my God, there's going to be a problem. But
Yep. Right.
that is so ridiculous. You know, we make a decision based on what we know and feel at the time. Even if you're completely and totally spiritual, conscious, whatever you want to say those words, it'll just lead you down another path of experience.
Yeah, that's a great attitude around decision making. I love it, because decision making really can stop us. And so now we're going to talk about spiritual family, and sisterhood comes up in my mind when I think of spiritual family. When my husband and I had what we called our blessing ceremony, we did the circle of life, the Native American circle of life, and everybody sat according to their birth, and it was just very much our heart to heart tribe. It wasn't a lot of family. His daughter was there. My mother was out of the country. You know, it was this heart to heart tribe that we had created, and that we consider to be our spiritual family. How about you? What do you consider spiritual family, Wanda?
Oh, that's a really good question right now. My spiritual family are those who have been in my life for a very long time, and I think one of the most important things with the ones that have been in my life for such a long time is that we can connect at any time. Time is of no time. And when we do
Yes.
connect, we start off where we left off.
Yeah, just take
And
right back up, right? Kindred.
yeah,
Yeah, it's another word.
absolutely. And it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter you know, the timing of what we understand of that. And a beautiful example I think I can use is, aside from my adult family, is with my granddaughter number one, I suppose. And the first granddaughter is, I feel a kindred connection with her. I know that sounds weird because she's only 4 years old and I'm nearly 60. So whenever we are together, she knows that I'm her grandmother. I know she's my granddaughter, but there's a connection. And we will connect on that level, and we will say what we need to say, play what we need to play, and then when I see her again, it continues from that. And it is very easy, it's gentle, it's harmonious. And so there'll be people in our lives that we will meet that you'll feel that. You'll feel that harmony, you'll feel that connection, and there's nowhere to get and there's nowhere to gain, it's just being. And that is very, very important when you are identifying your spiritual family because it feels easy. It feels like that.
Yeah, I love it. Good.
Free to
Very
be
good.
yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. And allowing the other one to be themselves too. And then there's people that you don't connect with, and that gets a little harder. And you had earlier used the word judgment, right? So it's
Yeah.
easy to go into judgment when you don't get somebody and their ways.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, and for me, I understand people based on history, their history and just history in general. How about you? What helps you to understand someone that's not easy to understand?
Well, sometimes it's easier if they're not family members, or even if they are family members. I'll be very direct here that they have their own life path, and sometimes you have to let go to let them. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you don't accept them. There just comes a point where you know you need to move in your own direction and allow them to move in their direction. It doesn't mean you have to accept everything that people fork out to you, friend or no friend, leader or no leader, coach or no coach. I think that if you're being authentic with yourself and not escaping or deflecting, you need to make your own personal decision around others allowing to be themselves. And in doing so, you give them the greatest service because you're allowing them to experience what they need to experience. And
Right.
I do know at some point, if it's meant to be, that you will come together again in another level after their learning. And it's not to
Yeah.
say that because you're at a certain spot that you're not learning too, because we do it every day.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And it's not a need to, right? It's a get to. You get to do that with people and for people. I love it. All right. And so free yourself from judgment. Anything you want to touch on there?
if you have that perspective in life that you go, well, everyone's on their individual journey, including yourself,
Right?
then you free yourself. You free yourself from that judgment, like, oh, you have to do something, or we have to. I think one thing that you taught me, Linda, that sticks out to me like a shining star is I choose.
Yeah. So
In
freeing,
that,
isn't it?
yes, I choose it. I don't have to, and you don't even realise those conscious decisions that you make. I choose, like not using I choose, but like I have to, or I've got to do this, or I've got to.
Yeah,
Rather
yeah.
than saying, yeah, got a person. I've got to do
I
this, or
love
I
it.
haven't got. Yeah, so just choosing. You're either there
Yep.
or you're not. Mm.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. All right. So live without fear. How do you live without fear, Wanda?
By recognising it when it comes
Yeah.
up,
Right,
and
because you
that.
don't live without fear. It's there. It's there for all of us. It's just a matter of noticing it and then, either leaning into it or whatever. What do you do with fear, Wanda?
Well, look, I know when it comes up, and then I know that now. Gee, if I don't know it by the age of 60, but I realise that, and what I do is I go, okay, what's going on here? What am I afraid of? Why is it something that is warning me, or is it something I'm afraid of? So being
Yeah.
intuitive, I have to be aware of those two distinctions.
Yeah,
For
for
me,
sure.
it's important because being an empath, I also have a trigger of empathy that I have to also learn to hold back. But when I say hold back, I don't mean hide it. What I mean is, okay, there's a feeling there. What does that mean for me? Am I stopping myself, or am I making a judgment? Or that fear can display itself in so many different ways. Fear can be guilt. It can be lots of other things under the word of fear. So at those moments, I really do have to take my time. And that's another thing I've learned from you, Linda, is to chill out. Oh my gosh, talk about intense mama. You know,
You're an ever ready bunny, girlfriend.
absolutely, fully intense. And I actually do. But it doesn't come naturally to me. I have to practice it.
Yeah, I think my favorite story of you is when you had recently too 90-mile-an-hour winds and nobody was sleeping that night and you just sat there in the dark and you had nothing to do and you
Oh,
fell in love with just being, and that was like a first for you. It was so beautiful. It was a great transformation for you, and now you're able to just, set that aside and be more deliberate about it. Me time.
yes, absolutely. That was. I wish the electricity would go off a little bit more often.
You could use that, huh? Be careful what you wish for. Especially when you're going to go with an online business, right? I love it. Okay. So live your joy, and you do. You are an empath, and so real quick back to fear. Another thing I know for fear is, as an empath, it's like, whose fear is this? Is this my fear, or am I picking this up and it's somebody else's fear? So I know that's a little thing that we empaths sort out. So back to joy. So live your joy. You are a very
Yes.
joyful person, and you really light up when you're with others. And are you an extrovert or an ambivert? Because an ambivert just needs to get away, and not needs, but gets away to juice up and get their energy. And extroverts actually go out and be around people because that's what gives them energy. So are you a little bit of both?
I have to agree there. Yes, I think I'm a little bit of both.
Okay.
And I just want to add there very quickly too that I just had that I want to share with everybody here, that when I was young, I knew things, and I was told at a young age, be quiet, you are a know-all. And so that um, affected my joy, because that was my joy, being able to share something that was strongly intuitive. And so in my readings, now what I do is I just sit, I allow, and therefore I'm able to tap into things for people that are so true to their soul
Mm,
and be of great assistance to them, because I stepped over that fear as well. And we must not be afraid of sharing our deepest feelings on that level. And it's more than a feeling, it's another level of feeling, I suppose. I don't feel it as a level, I feel it as a knowledge sometimes. And when I sit very quietly and the client comes in and we sit and we greet, I tap into my allowing, and I allow my highest self to share its wisdom with the person who requires it at that time. And that is my joy, because I know and I can see on the other person's face how connected they feel with me at the time to help them in their next stage in their life. So
yeah,
that is
that's
my
a beautiful. Sorry, that's a beautiful thing when you can connect soul to soul with somebody. And I always say, like, people who read other people's energy, it's not it's really not that accurate because they read old energy as well as current energy, and if they don't know the person's story, it's just not accurate. What you do, Wanda, is you connect soul to soul. So all you're doing is almost like translating what's there and what they already know. And I think there's a beautiful difference there.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, good. So be brave, be bold, be you. Tell us about that.
Well, they're words that I've encapsulated and taken from artists. I've taken them from people who use creativity to such a large extent that these words express exactly how I have had to be myself. I've had to be brave. I've had to be bold, stepping into my own power, and that is me.
Wonderful. I love it. I'm studying again Women Who Run with the Wolves, and the La Lorna story in there is kind of the bottom line is that there's a river, and in my words, it flows through us, and so like our life's river can be really a negative journey sometimes, and we can become a victim or whatever, and yet there's a river below the river, which is a woman's creativity and her creative life, and if we allow that river to become polluted, we are in big trouble. And we are like too messed up even to like rescue ourselves, right? So then we get into all kinds of issues and even addictions, and but that story does talk about how everything women will just throw everything away and start anew, right? And just kind of clean out that river. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And that requires bravery. It requires courage because
Yes.
we are so stuck in having to do things right and having to do things one way, my
Yep.
Cairo story, and think to follow a one path. Whereas I think if we step into, well, this isn't working for me, obviously, so let's try something else. If that doesn't work, it doesn't matter. I'll try something else.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I love it. Permission to change directions. Cool, cool. All right, my dear. So let's summarize: creative freedom, spiritual family, and life without fear. And that whole idea that all roads lead to Cairo.
Cairo is where the big pyramids are, and they are a mystery. They still are to this day. I mean, if you look at, alternative ideas, we are 10,000 years out of whack with our reality at this moment, that we still don't understand the power behind this. And so therefore, you are that mystery, and your life is that mystery. And the mystery is, all you need to do is to connect and know thyself, and you will be that pyramid. And it doesn't matter if you make mistakes along the way. You will find your spiritual family on that journey. And when you are doing this and you are allowing yourself to be this pyramid, whatever that looks like, then you have that life without fear.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's nowhere to get. It's all just about being that creative self, whatever that looks like in
Mm-hmm.
your life.
I love it. Anything else you'd like to say on the summary?
No, I think I've said it all.
It's really good. Thank you so much. And you have an amazing gift. So let's get to that. All right, a 33-day challenge, and I've heard a little bit about this, so tell us more, because it's so interesting. The whole concept that you came up with is like, we're all, my thing is unity without uniformity, and this is reminding me of that. Like there's all these famous people, and they go about their creativity in various ways, and so finding what really works for you in your own creativity is what is like the end result of this 33-day challenge. So tell us a little bit, like how is that laid out? Because you're pulling together, you're studying and just pulling this really nummy information and how-tos together. So I'll let you fill us in.
Okay, well, once again, the idea of all roads lead to Cairo. I'm exploring creativity from different facets of life. So
Okay.
there are famous people that I'm saying, well, what did they use? How did they use their creativity to get where they are in their life? Artists, dancers, entrepreneurs, writers, motivators, mothers, all these people who utilised creativity, which I believe is not just about art, it's about your essence. How they use their essence to get what they wanted from their life, to create it. And so therefore this challenge is about you stepping into their world for a couple of days and exploring how they did it. You embracing those techniques. The challenge is, can you try this out? Because I think with these gifts, you will find your own. You'll find your own thing. And people are looking for that now, particularly women. They're looking for something where they fit. And so you can follow so many different people, but if we stick to the soul, you can't go wrong. And
Mm.
so therefore, looking at the soul energy of these different people, and you can say, well, I'll try this hat on today. Wanda, thank you very much. Oh, this is great. Okay, this is not really what I like, but okay, next one. Next
Mm-hmm.
famous person. Next famous person. And
Nice.
then at the end, at the end of it, you'll go, oh, I love that, I love that, I love that, and I've got a nice fruit salad of what you want to create yourself.
Very cool. So you're actually, leading the people in your challenge. You're actually leading them through activities that are in alignment with the person that they're studying at the moment, right?
Correct, yes.
Very cool. And so people can just sign up out on your website. Is that right?
Yes, they can, and there's a link to that website, and you will follow the links, and then you can sign up for free, and you'll be hearing from me on a daily basis.
All right, that's so awesome. Thank you again. What a generous gift. 33 days. That's so amazing. And how beautiful to just if you're feeling like it's time to force yourself into some me time, well, here's a way to do it, right?
Absolutely,
It's better than
absolutely.
losing power and being forced to sit in the dark. Right, Wanda?
Absolutely.
I love it. All right, my dear, this has been so much fun as usual with you. So, just anything else that you would like to say to just kind of wrap things up?
Um, Look, all I can say is, if you're out there and you are thinking there's something more to life, well, my words for you are there is.
Ah,
And go, be bold, be brave, be you. Find it, and do not stop until you find it.
beautiful. I love it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Linda. All the best.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.